Welcome to our news discussion today. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Sean. We're here to break down some of the top stories for you.
Let's start with a developing story out of California, where a massive fire has been burning at a medical supply warehouse in Tracy for the third day.
That's right. The fire is at a Medline warehouse, which is a significant medical supplier. What's the latest on the fire itself?
According to the reports, the fire started at the Medline warehouse, which is approximately 1 million square feet in size. Firefighters have been battling the blaze for 3 consecutive days.
Wow, that's enormous. Have there been any updates on the containment or the cause of the fire?
The articles indicate that the fire is still raging and containment efforts are ongoing. As for the cause, officials haven't released a definitive statement yet. The reporting does mention that the fire is affecting air quality in the area.
So, what's the impact on the local residents, especially those who might be sensitive to smoke?
Officials are urging residents who are sensitive to smoke to remain indoors. The city of Tracy has over 100,000 residents, so this is a significant concern.
That makes sense. How big is this warehouse in terms of its medical supply storage?
The warehouse is described as being around 1 million square feet. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the size of 17 football fields.
That's massive. What kind of medical supplies were stored there, according to the reporting?
The articles don't specify exact details on the inventory, but given that it's a Medline warehouse, it's likely to have a wide range of medical equipment and supplies.
Okay. So what's the potential impact on the medical supply chain, especially if this warehouse was a significant distribution point?
The reporting suggests that the fire could have implications for the medical supply chain, but there aren't many specifics yet on how severe the disruption might be. Have there been any statements from Medline or local health officials about the potential shortage or redistribution of supplies?
Not yet, according to the articles. But it's something that would likely be closely monitored, given the importance of the warehouse.
Right. What's the current air quality situation like in Tracy? Are there any measurements or alerts mentioned?
The reports indicate that the air quality is being affected, but they don't provide specific air quality index measurements. They do mention that residents are being advised to stay indoors if they're sensitive to smoke.
Okay, so this is a developing story. Are there likely to be more updates as the situation unfolds?
Absolutely. The fire is still burning, so we can expect ongoing coverage as firefighters continue their efforts and officials provide more information.
All right, let's stay on top of that. Are there any other significant stories related to this incident that we should be aware of?
The articles mention that the fire has been burning for 3 days, which is quite unusual. There's also a mention of the challenges firefighters are facing in tackling the blaze.
That ties into the broader context of large warehouse fires. Have there been any comparisons to similar incidents in the past?
Not directly in the articles we've seen, but it's worth noting that large warehouse fires can be particularly challenging due to the volume of materials involved.
That's true. The scale of this fire is certainly significant. Are there any indications of how long it might take to bring the fire under control?
The reports don't provide a specific timeline for containment. It seems to be an ongoing, day-by-day assessment by the firefighters.
Okay, so we'll need to keep an eye on this story as it develops further.
Exactly. And that's a good place to wrap up our discussion on the Medline warehouse fire for now. We'll continue to follow the story.
Goodbye, and thanks for tuning in. Let's dive a bit deeper into the implications of this fire. You mentioned the potential impact on the medical supply chain. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. If this warehouse was a significant distribution point for medical supplies, a fire could lead to shortages or delays in getting critical equipment to hospitals or clinics.
That's right. The reporting does hint at the possibility of disruptions, but we don't have many specifics yet. It'll be interesting to see how Medline and other suppliers respond.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the immediate shortage. It could also have a ripple effect on the broader medical supply chain.
Exactly. The articles mention that officials are urging residents to stay indoors, but what about the potential health impacts from the smoke and the fire itself?
Good question. The reporting doesn't go into great detail about specific health concerns beyond advising sensitive residents to stay indoors.
One thing to consider is that medical supply warehouses like Medline's often store a wide range of products, some of which could be hazardous when burned.
That's a good point. The type of materials being stored could affect the toxicity of the smoke and the overall environmental impact.
Right. And the fact that it's a medical supply warehouse means there could be specific concerns related to the disposal of any damaged or contaminated supplies after the fire is out.
Exactly. The cleanup and recovery process will likely be complex and potentially hazardous.
So, what's the current status of the firefighting efforts? Are there any notable challenges being faced by the firefighters?
The articles mention that firefighters are struggling with the fire, indicating that it's a particularly tough blaze to control.
That's right. The size of the warehouse and the volume of materials involved are significant factors. It's not just a matter of putting out the fire, it's also about preventing it from spreading.
And ensuring that the surrounding area is safe. The reporting does mention that the fire is being fought aggressively, but it's a day-by-day battle.
Okay, so we'll need to keep following this story. Are there any other significant angles related to this incident that we should be covering?
One potential angle is the investigation into the cause of the fire. Once that's underway, we might get more insight into how this happened and what can be done to prevent similar incidents.
That's a great point. Understanding the cause will be crucial for both the immediate response and long-term prevention strategies.
Absolutely. And it's also worth considering the broader context of warehouse fires and how they might be mitigated or prevented.
Actually, let's shift to the details on the fire's progression. The reporting mentions that it's raged into its third day.
That's right. The fire's persistence is a major concern. What's the latest on the firefighting efforts?
The articles indicate that firefighters are continuing to battle the blaze, but they're facing significant challenges due to the size and intensity of the fire.
I see. And what about the local response? Are there any emergency declarations or support measures being put in place for affected residents?
The reporting mentions that officials are urging residents to stay indoors and are likely coordinating response efforts, but there aren't many specifics on emergency declarations.
Okay, so the situation is still developing. We'll need to stay on top of any new information as it becomes available.
Exactly, and that's a good place to continue our discussion on the Tracy warehouse fire.
Goodbye, and thanks for tuning in.
Let's talk more about the potential environmental impacts. You mentioned the possibility of hazardous materials being stored in the warehouse.
Yes, that's a concern. Medical supply warehouses can store a variety of products, some of which might be hazardous when burned.
The environmental impact could be significant, not just from the smoke, but also from the potential contamination of soil or water if hazardous materials were involved.
That's right. The cleanup efforts will need to take this into account. It's not just about putting out the fire, it's also about mitigating the environmental damage.
Exactly, and there might be longer-term health implications for the local community, depending on what was released into the air and environment.
The articles do mention that air quality is being affected, but they don't provide detailed measurements or assessments of long-term health risks.
Okay, so we'll need to watch for more information on both the immediate and longer-term environmental and health impacts. Let's get back to the firefighting efforts. The reporting mentions that firefighters are battling the fire for the third day.
That's right. The persistence of the fire is a significant challenge. What's the latest on the containment efforts?
The articles indicate that containment is ongoing, but they don't provide a specific percentage or timeline for when the fire might be fully contained.
Okay, so it's a waiting game at this point. Are there any notable challenges being faced by the firefighters beyond the size of the fire?
The reporting mentions that the firefighters are struggling, which suggests that it's a particularly tough blaze to control. The size and intensity of the fire are major factors.
I see. And what's the current strategy for tackling the fire? Are there any specific tactics being used?
The articles don't go into great detail about the specific tactics, but they do mention that firefighters are working aggressively to contain the blaze.
Okay, so we'll need to keep an eye on how this develops. Are there any other significant stories or angles related to this incident that we should be covering?
One potential angle is the economic impact on the local community, both from the fire itself and the potential disruptions to the medical supply chain.
That's a good point. The economic implications could be significant, especially if there are shortages or delays in medical supplies.
Exactly. And it's not just about the immediate economic impact. There could also be longer-term consequences for the local businesses and healthcare providers.
All right, so we'll need to continue following this story and exploring the various angles and implications.
Goodbye, and thanks for tuning in.